People say that I'm one of the greats, I'm the one that you love to hate. Shake 'em up like a quake, pop your feelings and turn and dispose them like haters I throw away. I'm forever blessed, got the spirit that's holy controlling me, I ain't gotta coordinate. I just sit back and buckle my bells and I'm ready to blast in the stars of my destination. Melted broadcast, open vision. Melted broadcast, open vision. Melted broadcast, open vision. Melted broadcast, open vision.
What's going on, everyone? This is Tony Mars with the Melted Broadcast. Today's guest, Parsi. Skits, the POK. Christian Carroll. And of course, my beautiful co-host, Mary Bly. Welcome to the Roundtable Conversations. Let's go. So, what's going on, everybody? This is Tony Mars and Mary Bly with the Melted Broadcast. Today's guest, we have Parsi, Skits, the POK, and Christian Carroll. How's it going, guys?
Good, thanks.
Super happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Doing wonderful, Tony. Thank you so much for having me here. Glad to be here with you guys.
Yeah, we really appreciate having you guys here. You know, whenever I think of the UFO community, especially on the X, I mean, the three names that come to mind are y'all three. You know, so it's like I got the three biggest hitters on the show right now. So it's kind of unreal for me, you know, and Mary.
Super happy to be here and humbled to be in the presence of these two really, really cool dudes. So I'm super excited for this combo.
Awesome. All right. So why don't we start with Parsi? Why don't you go ahead and give us a introduction of yourself?
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Mary. Thanks for allowing me to speak my truth. I'm a lifelong experiencer. I belong to a minority of people called Parsis. Parsis Zoroastrians from Iran. There's only about 100,000 left of us in the world. Maybe I'm one of the very rare Persian or Parsi experiencers, along with my twin brother. And I'm a lifelong experiencer. As cliched as that sounds, I've had interactions with live nuts and bolts craft along with my twin at age 11. Interacted with the craft, interacted with the NHI in the craft, and then ever since then my life has been nothing but high strangeness. Been seeing orbs as a child, and just recently the phenomenon has exploded in my life with orbs, non-stop craft sightings, you name it. And I think my goal and my purpose in life now is not to do this for fame or fortune. Is going public. It can be detrimental to your human life, so to speak. But I don't care anymore because people like yourselves, Rafa and Christian, have been able to find a voice. And that's what we need to do, is to break that stigma. That is the main reason I'm here, is to be able to break that stigma and have that conversation, so that when you are able to have that conversation with the rest of humanity, people don't turn around and say, you know, he's a schizophrenic or he's hallucinating, you know, seeing things, because it's very difficult to speak about.
Yeah, sure.
And that's me in a nutshell. Thank you very much for allowing us to be here.
Thank you for being here, Parsi.
Welcome, Parsi.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Raphael. Skits, the POK.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Raphael Skits, POK, the Prophet Lucid King, and I'm a hip-hop artist, but also a lifetime experiencer. I have a documentary right now on Amazon Prime that you can check out called Calling All Hybrids, which kind of documents a little bit of how I use my music and these interaction with these beings that I've had in these situations to kind of like educate people and get people more aware of our star family and our connection and what we're able to do as humans. as to lead a little bit on what Parsi said, which is definitely a brother in this whole ufology movement, I would say is, it is very, very rare and hard to be able to speak your truth on a platform and not be, ridiculed and actually be heard, and I just want to thank people like my brother, Josh, that helped me out with the documentary. I want to thank people like, my brothers Chris and Parsi, and I definitely want to thank you and Mary, Tony and Mary over here for the Melted Podcast for allowing us the platform to be able to like speak our truth, like Parsi said. It's very, very hard to go out there in like society with your truth and expect people to not look at you some type of way. There's a ton of people that I would possibly want to meet that would hear my story and be turned off when all I'm really trying to do is tell you what happened to me. So I just want to say thank you once again to, the whole community as a whole and everybody brave enough to tell their story and platform like the Melted broadcast to be able podcast to be able to get stories like our stories out there. So I just that's my spiel and thank you.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Christian.
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Absolutely.
Tell me good? Wonderful. Yeah, I want to just kind of, parrot what was just said. Thank you, Tony and Mary, for providing the platform for experiencers to, tell their story and get their message out. That's a big deal. Well, it's a very big deal that you guys are willing to do these things for experiencers. That's extremely important. My goal after entering the community on UFO Twitter is kind of my introduction to this, was to create a safe place for experiencers to come in and tell their story, because I didn't have one. And that was my experience there. And it really kind of brought to the forefront the fact that there isn't really a place for people who've experienced, high strangeness events in their lives to tell those things free from like judgment or stigma, because it's been so heavily stigmatized for so many years through the government, through Hollywood, and just people in general. It's kind of a pack mentality, I guess, when we're dealing with human beings, right? It's a pack mentality. So if one person who is, kind of higher up on the social hierarchy says, oh, well, that's crazy, then the rest of the people kind of want to follow suit. We're here to break that. I'm here to break that stigma because I feel that, we're all human beings. We're all equally as important in this whole grand scheme of life, disclosure. And it's about you and I. It's about everyone else. It's not just about a few people who have decided what it should be at the top. So thank you guys. Thank you, Parsi. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I can't remember. Raphael. Yes, Raphael. Yeah. Thank you so much for your kind words. I'm here for all of you to be able to speak. That is my lot. So thank you guys.
Yeah, and man, big thanks to you, Christian, because I mean we do this. We release the episode once a week, and of course, I want to get more involved in helping people like yourselves, experiencers, to get their story out, not only vocally, but I mean it's a whole different thing whenever people could actually see your face, and like talking face to face, even though it's not literally face to face, but we're here talking with one another. I see you, I see you, I see you, and it just brings a whole different level to it. So, but I mean, and then what you're doing with your space. I mean, come on, dude, you're like almost every night on there, and granted, I can't talk too much because I'm working overnight, so I can't really say much. But I'm listening, and you have all these people coming out telling their stories, and and just like connecting. And it's amazing, dude. So thank you. All right, so let's get into the questions.
Righty. I can't wait. Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, guys. So the big question: what is disclosure, and when do you think it'll happen, or is it going to be this Project Bluebeam trying to trick us?
All right. Let me just jump in real quick because I'm not as like versed as far as like knowing a lot of the science of it, right? But I do know a little bit about what the gist of Project Bluebeam is. And I mean, to be completely honest, as far as disclosure goes, I don't think there's ever going to be a disclosure because disclosure's already been disclosed. I mean, it's pretty obvious that we have been contacted. It's pretty obvious that we've had technology from other star systems and all that. So as far as the disclosure or the aliens landing on the White House lawn, I don't really see anything like that really playing out. And if
Yeah.
it does play out, it would play out in more of a cinematic. I mean, as sad as I have to say it, it's going to look like Independence Day. They're going to try to trick us so that way they can have more control over the population. So, in my opinion, I'm not a fear mongerer in any way, shape, or form. I do believe that if enough people come forward, plans could be deterred and other timelines could be set forward. So,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this is the cemented future of civilization. It's going to be Project Bluebeam, Independence Day. There is a possibility where things can be shifted for the positive, and I think that's what we're doing right now in trying to get people more aware of the possibility of the negativity out there and the kind of the setup. Like, I've been born and raised in the Bronx, and I'm not saying that I'm the most street savvy person in the world, but I do know my way around the neighborhood. And when it looks
Yeah.
like a scam, it's pretty much a scam. And when it looks like a setup, it's pretty much a setup. And what I'm looking at is a slow drip setup situation where they might be doing a soft alley oop for a Project Blue Beam. So anyway, as far as disclosure goes and what it means to me, I would love for it to be as beautiful as this is all the information we have, and we know you as humans not only deserve to know, but you are able to handle the information properly. But we also have to think about the differences that's going to come with disclosure, right? What it's going to say to religion, what it's going to
Exactly.
say like technology, because the minute it's certified that the government came out and say, hey, boom, 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 this is what it is, the first thing people are going to talk about is how did they get there and why we're still using oil to
Yeah.
start our cars, or why we're still not going to different forms of energy. So it's just a hodgepodge of complications that I think we might be ready for as a civilization, but I think disclosure is already here. So anyway, I would love to pass it off to somebody else to get their thoughts on it.
Yeah, sure. If I may speak, and I always say this: the disclosure has already happened, and it's happening. It's a continued process, and we are the disclosure. So if we're going to wait for these governments to disclose anything for their selfish reasons, they're probably going to hold on to technology, and I mean rightly so. If you look at it in a way that they don't want this technology getting out into the wrong hands, nefarious states, enemy countries, which is agreeable to a certain extent. But holding on to it is really, really detrimental to humanity because look, we're so backwards. We're still relying on fossil fuels. And we live in this weird matrix where, you go to work 9 to 5, you got to pay your bills, and there's no purpose to life. But now there's people like us that are waking up and saying, hey, there's more to life, there's more to living. So it's not just acknowledging the phenomenon, it's being able to live with it on a day-to-day basis and say, hey, we're not alone. We've never been alone. And the thing is, who can say if we're not the NHI ourselves, right? I mean, there's always speculation out there that we're part of, 24 different species combined together. I mean, hell, in my experiences, like with my past life regression, I learned about 2 different lives that I was from a constellation of Lyra. That's where I saw my soul being originated. I lived through a reptilian life, from Alpha Draconis. And these are really, really crazy things to speak about. And then in my current life, I'm in contact with these NHI that come to me. And I don't have physical contact. It's more interdimensional. It's more through the meditations and through the regression. And these beings came to me as avian beings. So they came with owl heads. The owl synchronicities blew through the roof for me. Everywhere I was seeing owls and never heard of owls in my life, being related to the phenomenon. And then in my regression, they taught me things where it blew my mind. It had nothing to do with NHI being biological beings, but all of us being connected to a higher consciousness, to a supreme being they call the All. And they said that we're all fractals of this one source.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. So it was a very profound experience. But I'll expand on that later on. I'll let Christian speak as well. Sorry, Christian, go ahead.
No, Parsley, not at all, please. I love it when you speak, brother. All of your experiences are incredible. And, I just don't ever stop speaking. Don't ever. Please don't.
For real. For real.
Yeah. And don't ever apologize for your truth. Don't ever. For Project Bluebeam, kind of to get into that a bit, I feel like there's so much to unpack with Project Bluebeam. There's so many different CIA government documents that have been declassified about weapons that, can pump thoughts into your mind. It's funny, in UFO Twitter, we get to a lot of these subjects, right? It's kind of all encompassing. The phenomena itself, I feel like, is all encompassing. With Project Bluebeam, yes, I would say that there has been a concerted effort already. I would say that what we're dealing with right now in some aspects is a Project Bluebeam. And the reason why I say that is because of kind of where we've ended up societally, where we continue to perpetuate cycles of negativity. Now we have algorithms that push us into negativity and division on a daily basis. I would say that as well as kind of the geometric unity of the universe that we live in, I would consider possibly a part of this Project Bluebeam that we speak of. That's not to get too woo. We could get very woo about Project Bluebeam. As far as disclosure is concerned, I would definitely agree with what Parsi said, as well as Raphael. The experiencer's experience is the disclosure. The separation of the experiencers by gaslighting and by trauma is what's prevented disclosure and will continue to prevent disclosure forever. I can tell you from, all my friends down the street that someone's had a high strangeness event. May it be tied to religion, may it be tied to synchronicities. We've all experienced this in some manner. It's just how we decide to acknowledge it, and what we decide to give ourselves permission as a human being or as a species to allow to be the truth for ourselves. We are the disclosure. Parsi is absolutely right about that. And as long as we continue to share our stories and we don't judge one another, we break the cycle of the continued gaslighting. And we come from a place of love and kindness and respect for one another, being able to listen to one another without wanting to respond right away, but actually listening to an individual, we will get to true disclosure. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Absolutely. So even whenever we started, go ahead.
No. I just needed to speak on it because everything that both these gentlemen said is just striking on just on top of the head, right? I mean, I'm just going to have to say it because
absolutely.
A lot of the issues that we have is, oh, your experience is not real, is not validated, but yours is, or yours is not. So it's like, yeah, I mean, Parsi just spoke about two past life regressions on different planets. I also remember a past life, you know, in the Sirius constellation. So these are things that we should be talking about and we should be putting out there. And I feel like sometimes you tell your family members and they might not be the most responsive as mine was in the beginning. And then you get to groups like, you know, Chris's group or the pod that we're having right now, and then boom, you have your opening to be able to release this energy off to somebody that might desperately need to hear that they're not alone. It's not always about just replenishing the energy that you have within yourself and just going, oh my God, I feel better for somebody saying that they believe me. It's about that one person that might be working the night shift, that can only listen, that wanted to jump off a building yesterday because they believe, because of what their parents said, it's demonic and it's trying to kill them. But and then they hear a story about something that happened to me or Parsi or Chris or whoever out there is saying the story, and then boom, they go, wait a minute. It's not the negativity that these uneducated people, and I'm not saying uneducated as in stupid, I mean uneducated in the subject, are just telling me what they know and believe. And reality, these people are taking that thing that's happening to them, that's making me nervous and scared, and they're turning it into poetry, or they're turning it into art, or they're making podcasts about it. And then out of nowhere, disclosure becomes, as Parsi said and Chris echoed, us. So it's very cool that I just needed to like just put the nail on that one, because I mean, people, they inspire me. All of you guys inspire me. So this is so cool.
No, I appreciate that. So like whenever we first started this podcast, you know, this subject has always been a part of my life ever since I was a little kid. You know, aside from other things like, you know, ancient knowledge, forbidden knowledge. And so whenever me and Mary got together and started talking about it, you know, we're like, okay, we're gonna do this interview. How are we gonna ask questions? And I was like, first of all, like, we don't need to sound like a reporter, and we don't need to sound like we're trying to discredit them. Like, we need to let them come on and tell their story with no judgment. So, you know, and I told all you guys, you know, this is a safe place. You know, Christian, just like your spaces. I mean, this is a safe place. Just like this is, you know, our you know, Melted broadcast. It's y'all's Melted broadcast. You guys could come on whenever you want. Bring on whoever you want whenever they want to tell their truth. And that's the honest truth.
Yeah. And I want to say, I have so much love and respect for all of you guys. Christian, I know, you know, I inboxed you and I said thank you, and you know, I meant that. And Parsi, you know, we have a connection. You have all the orbs, and I've experienced those. And Skits, you know, about the astral projection that I've been able to do. You know, I've had all this. I know what we're saying about no judging, and I've kept this inside of me for so long, you know, because who do you really tell? And I remember telling Skits in the interview that I would go see a doctor, and already I thought, oh my God, they're going to just lock me up because they're going to think I'm just insane. Now, I don't have experience like you guys, but I've had the astral projection, you know, things that people are not going to believe, that I can actually do these things and have been able to do these things since a child. So I kept that bottled up. And when I met Tony and he was in his journey, I was able to open up to him. And I'm learning so much from everybody, all of you guys in the community, and that it's okay to actually come out and say these things in this space right here, because I know that I won't be judged and I won't be labeled as crazy, right? Because that's what people who are not in this community that's the first thing that you're going to think about. So I respect each and every one of you guys. I just want to say thank y'all so much for,
and
you know, like allowing me to be right? Because I'm trying to get all this soak up this situation, and since all this has been happening, I've had some intense things happening, and it's like I want to tell somebody, and who can I tell? And I know I can tell. I know I can talk and reach out to you guys about it. But anyways, I just wanted to say thank y'all so much for being here, and like I said, I have mad respect and love for each and every one of you guys.
And then even back to what Mary said, you know, like
okay,
if we can't talk to people about this, who are we gonna talk to? Like, you guys have no idea how many times I work a lot, and usually I'm by myself. So I'm driving around at the airport, and I'm just thinking and talking to myself and talking to myself and talking to myself, and it's driving me freaking nuts. You know, like, who can I tell this to? You know, and you know what you're doing, Christian, what we're doing, what we're all doing, is we're giving people a voice, and we're giving them a door that they can open where they can walk in and be like, okay, you know what? Other people are going through this. I could talk about it. You know, it's a safe place. I don't have to hold it in anymore to where eventually, you know, it just like builds up and you explode.
Yeah, if I can interject, what Rafael was saying about, you know, people wanting to jump off balconies, and I'm going to say this on a live YouTube space. I was one of those people. Many times I have come close to the actual precipice of taking that choice, but there's always been kind of maybe a higher power holding me back, saying, no, you have a purpose. You need to stay on. And then through synchronicities and through whatever this higher force is, if you think about just the miracle of what's happening here, we virtually don't know each other, but we've come together by some mysterious universal force that has brought us together. Like we didn't know each other months ago, and now, and that's the thing, is that, you know, family will say, oh, how come you're talking to strangers on X? They're just strangers and stuff. But then if you can't talk about this with family because we're always conditioned that, oh, you know, what will my loved ones think? What will my parents think if I say this? Like, you know, I spoke to my mom about this once. She says, oh, you might have demons. You might have to start praying and be religious. And I was like, no, like I was born into this Zoroastrianism religion, right? We've been taught the tenets of this religion is good thoughts, good words, good deeds, treat everyone with love and kindness. But I was never the one to drink the Kool-Aid of religion and be religious. But after having these experiences, and the thing is, like with human life as well, when you go through things in human life, you tend to lose faith in God and a higher power. But this has got my faith back, that there is definitely a higher power. And I've been able to see it through my regression. I had this regression with Mary. It was powerful.
And even with you, Parsi, like I mean, your family, all you guys are family. I mean, me and Mary talk about it all the time. You know, like you coming on to this show, like what was it, babe, that I said the other day? I was like, man, look at Parsi, he's about to be on video. I was like, man, I'm so freaking proud of him.
yeah. I mean, but to echo what Parsi said, not to cut anybody off because I know this is a live stream, but I really need to say this. I mean, people don't talk a lot about the dark side of our personal disclosure, right? Everybody thinks, oh my God, you're talking to ETs and you can summon orbs, but we're not talking about what happens in the process of figuring out what's actually happening. I mean, there's moments of fear, there's moments of depression, there's highs and there's lows. Even in my personal situation, I've felt very alone until I found people on X. I mean, shout out to my brother Astral. I'm just going to say it right now. Doing group with him, the hybrids has been a big part of like pulling me out of some of my deepest and darkest times, because I'm able to communicate through the music and actually really put thought into some of the experiences that I'm going through. So I can tell you, Parsi, a situation in which I love all my nieces and nephews to death. But I remember my wife telling me, you know, we're at Thanksgiving, everybody's together. You really want to tell them about your experiences. Why don't you just really tell them? Shout out to my wife, Melissa, which has only been the person in my life for 20 years since day one that was like, I kind of believe it, so it's all good. Hence the reason why she's my wife, right? But I remember taking all of my nieces and nephews into a bedroom, and I was like, all right, listen, guys, you heard me talk about these experiences that I've had and all these things is happening. So this is what happened to me since I was 5. This is why I wasn't able to sleep in my own bedroom, and it's embarrassing. And I can see from the ages of like 19 all the way till about 13, just lose control laughing at me. And I'm literally thinking in my head for some reason that I was going to get like this whole, oh my God, this is what really happened. And somebody was going to be on my side and really like want to know more so I can desperately speak about everything that I was going through. But in retrospect, what I got from my nieces and nephews, which by the way, loved me dearly and didn't understand the devastation that they were doing to me at the time, they just laughed at me, man. I'm talking about complete buckled. My uncle is what he says he is, a schizophrenic, crazy person, and he needs to be on pills and have help. And then I just remember walking out that bedroom completely dead. And I just remember walking out the house and walking down the street and just crying beyond expression, crying in a way of knowing that nobody I love, for real, like the people that are going to show up at my funeral, and nobody I love really understands or believes that I'm really going through what I'm going through. My mom and my father, as much as they love me and they were in my life, what they really always told me due to their religion has been, which is a Jehovah's Witness, by the way, I was raised Jehovah's Witness, was it's demonic. There's no way that this is happening to you. So half of my childhood, I thought I was being chased by demons. So I'm 41 right now, and I'm finally in a place where I can come on and show my face and speak my truth, like my brother Parsi and like my brother Chris on platforms like this. And I'm telling you, sometimes the people you love the most are the ones that are going to hurt you the most. And people never talk about the dark side of disclosure. Yes, we're all peace, love, and light today, but tomorrow it might not be as peace, love, and light. And we need to like find that balance between yesterday and tomorrow. So I just wanted to speak on that as well.
For sure. All right, so as a child, all three of you guys saw something, whether it was a UFO or some sort of being, mentally and physically. How did that honestly affect you guys?
If I may speak, yeah. So my experience growing up so we grew up in Mumbai, India. It's called Bombay, or it used to be called Bombay, and if I can just elaborate on that experience, till today, I think about it and it haunts me because I have no frame of reference to when you're seeing something, when you're experiencing something that is completely about to shatter your reality. And imagine a craft. Imagine you're in a 3-floor building, and you know the building is 6 floors high, and this craft would have been probably maybe about 7 or 8 floors high. That's how I was estimating the height.
Yeah,
it's an egg-shaped craft, and it's humming. My whole body is vibrating. I'm looking at this thing, and in my mind, I'm thinking, what I'm trying to make sense of this thing. And not only is this craft pulsating and humming, you can see the lights, and it's a dark sky, but I can make out the shape of the craft. But when that portal or that window opens up in the middle and that 3-fingered hand comes out and waves, what do you do when something waves at you? You wave back, right?
Yeah.
Now, the crazy thing is not just experiencing this phenomenon for the first time, but sharing the experience with your brother. Is that when I went off and I ran off to that side balcony, the shocking part was not that I was experiencing this, but he was as well. And he had his hand up in the sky, like waving. And I was like, what are you waving at? So we told my mom about this experience, and she didn't really believe us. But in her wisdom, she said, okay, I'm going to put you both in separate rooms, and you need to illustrate this, draw this for me. And that's when we drew the craft. It was to the T. If you look in my pinned post on X, you'll see this football-shaped craft, and you'll see both me and my brother have illustrated the fingers of the being exactly the same, which is the three-fingered hand waving at us. It left me with a lot of PTSD because, again, there's nobody you can speak about, so you bury this in you, right? And then through my life, I've had so many experiences that I could probably spend a whole day speaking about, but I don't want to hog the mic. It just leaves you with more questions than answers. So it's like almost like you're leading. I feel like I'm leading three lives. So I'm leading my human life, I'm leading my experiencer life, and then I'm leading a life observing these two, trying to have a balance of those two lives, which is extremely difficult. And if we don't have these conversations, we're not gonna move the needle, and that's why we need to have these conversations, and be able to find a voice. Thank you, guys. You'll find a post on X. If you go on my X, actually it's not a pinned post. I'll try and pin it right now so you can see it. But go on, Rafa.
No, I could lay that up. I could send the alley-oop over to Chris on that one. I just wanted to echo what you said, and like, I just totally agree, man. I feel just we're on the same vibration, my brother. Go.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I didn't have my first like sighting until I was in my teenage years. I kind of have that high strangeness event where I fell asleep on my 13th birthday and woke up and, it was like, boom, I was hit with a bolt of lightning, and all of a sudden I could play like a bunch of different instruments. Had a whole bunch of past life memories just kind of flood into my brain. For me, that was very difficult. That was extremely difficult. I became extremely depressed. Kind of like it was just like everything at once. And then it was after that was when I started to see some very strange things. So yes, that was difficult. My parents didn't understand. It was like a switch had flipped. All of a sudden I was just like very quiet. I didn't talk a whole lot anymore. I kind of kept everything to myself because I knew that if I said anything about anything that was going on, that I would be committed. That's not to dismiss the fact as well, Parsi, you know what I mean? You talk about that, your whole situation with the balcony. I had that situation when this happened to me. I was, in a bathtub. I was ready to, just finish it because nobody was going to understand where I was coming from. And I felt that, like, through myself, like, to my core, because I was hyper aware suddenly of everyone around me, exactly how they felt about situations, exactly how they would react towards me if I spoke to them about these situations. So I was there, you know what I mean? And I did have to, I was right on the edge there, and I unfortunately didn't have the person to talk to. I didn't have the group, things of that nature. So I had to spend some time in the hospital till I could be, until they knew that I wasn't going to do anything to hurt myself, obviously, which as soon as I got put in there, I was like, all right, well, obviously I'm not going to hurt myself because this is, it all kind of like made sense to me in that moment that, I have to be here regardless. It's not my choice. I have to be here for other people in this situation. With my music, be it through my music or through conversation or through kind of these communities that we're at, is that I see where human life is stifled and where it's suffering and where it needs healing. And that is how I ended up here. That's the effect of it for me. So thank you for letting me share.
Man, thank you for being so brave, the both of you, Parsi and Chris. Thank you for being so brave and sharing your stories. I feel like when you have these deep experiences I mean, me personally, I've had the whole in the bathroom fetal position ready to, I mean, it's just I don't want to call it like a rite of passage, because I'm pretty sure there's a ton of people that have gone through these experiences without that dark side. But in all honesty, I can totally understand where you're both coming from. Parsi, is this the photo you was talking?
Yeah, that's so. If you look at the craft, if you see it's football shaped, and the experience that it started off with was extreme deep humming. I could feel this humming in my bones. Like if you hear a hum, you're like, okay, it might be a bee or something. But this is the hum was what actually pushed me to go outside and have a look at this craft. Now, this was like literally right in front of my face, and this one is drawn on white paper. But if you look at the other one, it looks like exactly how we saw it. If you look at the second illustration, which is it's against the jet black sky, and you'll see that there's lights. There are more lights on the left hand side. I kind of missed drawing some of the lights. But if you look at the middle of the craft, you'll see that this portal or this window opens up, and you see the three-fingered hand waving at us. And this was absolutely real. I mean, it was a nuts and bolts craft. And right above, you can see that in my mom's wisdom, she actually made us write down the time and date, which is 12th April 1991. So it's been 30 plus years since that day. And it's haunted me ever since, because once the phenomenon marks you, it marks you for life. Now, in my
and that too. Once the phenomenon marks you, I mean, that's a T-shirt if I've ever heard it. Once a phenomenon marks you,
Right.
marks you. No, I totally understand that, because once you see a craft, and I know he's saying nuts and bolts craft, but I'm pretty sure it didn't have nuts and bolts on it. So he just means like physical manifestation. I mean, I can't speak to his experience, but I know the craft that I saw. Once I saw it, and it was like the size of a football stadium, the first thing in my head was, how is it that nobody else is seeing this? Like, what is it about what this craft can do, whether put people to sleep or anything other? Like, what is it that's happening that these crafts can do? So when he says that phrase, like, it marks you for life, I totally understand what he means. So please continue, my brother. I just wanted to jump in there.
Thank you. Now, so that's the craft that I saw, and after that, the orbs went crazy for a few months. So I would wake up. Actually, no, I would after dinner. I would just get this urge in my head saying, "We need to go outside." So we had this wraparound balcony. It was really long, and it ran parallel to the apartment. So I'd walk outside, and I'd walk the length of the balcony. As a 11, 12-year-old, your mind's supposed to be in girls and stuff, but now I'm looking at the stars. So then imagine I'm walking, and on the horizon, I would see two stars or two craft power up. And at first I thought, is this an illusion? Because when I'm walking, they're following me. So then I tried a thought experiment. Something just told me, ask them. So I asked one of the craft, I said, hey, if you can hear me, can you move right? Craft moves right. I asked the other one, I said, hey, if you can hear me, can you move left? The other one moves left.
Not to cut you off, but I'm just curious in this story real quick. When you said that, was that a mental connection or was that auditory? Did you say it?
No, it was mental. I was mentally,
my brother. And how weird is it that you had the thought to even do that, right? Like, ask yourself, what made you want to even do that? Because same for me. When I had the experience, when I connected thought to the ship, I didn't even know why I knew I had to connect to it. It was just unknowing. So I just wanted to definitely validate you on that as well. Sorry to keep cutting you off, but I'm going to. Minute I resonate, I'm going
to. Then I got afraid. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. These craft are performing, or these stars are performing moves according to my thought projections. So I stopped engaging with the phenomenon. This was at age 11. Now, Tony, if you look on my X, I've tagged you in a post, which is very interesting. So my awakening process started after COVID. I went through a bariatric surgery, where I lost about 60 kilos of weight. Now, losing that weight, I also lost a lot of spiritual weight. I gained I would say like it was like a spiritual heaviness that went off my shoulders. So I went through this thing called a Kundalini awakening, where I started getting pressure in my third eye. I was able to see my aura around my hands. I could perceive the aura of people around me. I could feel if someone's insincere. I'd feel that in my gut. So my body became like sort of an antenna for things in craft and whatnot. And then as soon as this happened, my brother texts me and says, "Hey, I was getting off the bus. I'm sending you 3 photographs." So he sends me 3 pictures on WhatsApp, and I almost dropped the phone. So in the photographs, he's getting off the bus, and he lives in Queensland. When he gets off the bus, he gets a mental message saying, "Look up." So he looks up, and he takes 3 pictures with his phone. The sky is purple, so you can clearly see this is not a street light. You can see multiple white craft in the sky. And in one photograph, it's just the street light on one side, and on the purple sky, you see the craft. It's the same craft that we saw as kids. So, Tony, if you look at that post that I tagged you in X right now, you see the close-up of that craft, and it's exactly a football-shaped craft, but it's ethereal, so it's like a plasma version. So that tells me that they've been with us forever, and that's the message that they gave him. We're watching.
That's what I was about to ask you. What do you feel? Do you feel like that's okay? So you just right when I thought the question, you pretty much answered it. I was going to say, why do you feel like they keep coming back like that? And you just answered it. Yeah, they've been with you forever.
Yeah. So if you look at that photograph there, if you click on it, that's the close-up, and if you go to the next picture. So see, it looks very similar to the craft in that movie Flight of the Navigator, which is crazy.
Which was
but
awesome.
Then if you go to that third picture, click on that one, and you'll see the craft right as rain on the right hand side.
Oh wow! Yeah, you can.
That is not.
Ain't no mistaking that.
Flyer.
Yeah.
Right. So amazing that he was able to get those messages coming to him.
That's crazy.
Man, let's get this is getting deep. I'm loving it. All right, so what's the next subject? Parsi, my brother, this is incredible, man. I love to hear this, man. I love to hear the story, man. This is dope. As far as me as a child, I mean, the first interaction I remember having as a kid was with the Greys, and it was the way they explained it to be. Like, if I were to explain it on the Joe Rogan podcast, right? The first thing Joe is going to say, well, it was probably sleep paralysis or something like that. Because the first thing I remember is my whole body being completely shut down. But this is physically, I mean, it wasn't an apparition. It wasn't like a hazy thing. It was the Greys. As you can, big bulbous head, skinny neck, and all that. And I just remember I've always been scared of the dark prior to that experience. And I had a technique in knowing whether or not these beings was in the room prior to my first memory. So I don't know if that's DNA. I don't, the same way, like, if you have a cat in the jungle that was just born, it knows to like hide in the grass to kill its thing that it wants to eat. Instinctually, I don't know if my instincts knew how to interact with these beings since I've been born, or there's still some uncovered memories in which my body still remembers. A lot of people say that there's no way for the body to hold memory as far as, emotional memory. I don't agree with that at all. I do believe that there are certain things that I like to call weird fears. Like, for instance, when I was like 10 or 11, I couldn't look out the blinds when it was dark. If it was open, I had to always keep the blinds closed. I couldn't have the closet door cracked open. Now, if you say this to other people, they'll say, oh, that's just, you probably watched a horror film and something happened or it stuck with you or yada, yada, yada. But in my opinion, there have to be some sort of unlocked memories somewhere inside of my body in which I looked at that closet and something was staring back at me and it jolted me in a way. I don't care who you are. when you have interaction with these physical beings, I've had interaction on multiple occasions, not a lot, but more than 3, with physical beings in the room with me. I don't care who you are, man. You say that you want to see these things and you say that you want to be in the room with them. But when it happens, your body goes through something. And I don't care who you are. It goes into a shock mode because your mind knows that it's seeing something that it shouldn't be seeing. It shouldn't be real, this thing I'm looking at. So when there's a big praying mantis about 8.5 feet tall telling you telepathically it doesn't want you to look at it directly because it might cause a heart attack in which you can die just looking at it. Or you have these beings physically in the room with you, telepathically communicating you, which, by the way, they don't communicate like humans. A majority of how we speak is body language. I look at a person's face and I know if they're disinterested. I can look at a person's face and know if they're excited to speak to me. When you look at a gray, it could be the most happiest being in the world, but it's going to have a dead solid stare at you because they speak to each other with that kind of communication. Is all telepathic. So if I scream to a gray like I'm scared, they're going to hear it as a scream. So anyway, I just wanted to put it out there. Like, my first interaction was terrifying because I didn't know what I was looking at, and the other interactions prior to that were also terrifying because I was only being told that it was either demonic or it wasn't happening at all. So I didn't know what to think. It wasn't until I spoke to a researcher, a very popular researcher. Her name is Miss Denise Stoner. I remember talking to her over the phone and telling her, Denise Stoner, I didn't call her that. I said, Miss Denise, I hide knives in every room in my house. I hide knives underneath my couch. I hide them in the kitchen. I hide them in the bathrooms. I hide them everywhere because I know they can come and get me in any room. And I want to be prepared with a knife close enough where I can reach when they come to get me. And she just laughs. And she goes, first of all, they could think when you're about to go reach for it and they're going to freeze your body anyway, right? So it's just a silly thought that I can even injure these beings. That's just silly. And then the thought that she finally was the first person that validated and was like, honey, you're going to hurt yourself sitting on one of these knives. Just put flashlights. The Greys hate it when you shine the lights in their eyes. And I was like, wait a minute. You're not going to tell me I'm crazy? You're actually going to give me a tip that works on shining lights and crazy. So it's like, it's a huge deal when we're able to talk about these things and get the validation back. So I just, my first interaction with these beings wasn't the best. Now, if I were to see a gray right now, if while we're talking, a gray appears behind me, as much as I would love to see it and love for it to be real, I would be terrified. I mean, it just always will happen. Now, I don't know if that's something that it's like the military, right? You got to go into cold water constantly until the cold water doesn't affect you while you're in war. It's kind of automatic. You already know what the cold water feels like. So maybe I have to be totally scared 10 more times before I'm not scared anymore. But I don't think the fear comes from me not wanting to connect with these beings. I want to connect. It's the fear of knowing how it's going to feel when they're in my presence. It's a little shaky. So anyway.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So do you think people are ready for a full encounter from a extraterrestrial civilization, and why?
Chris,
or why not?
Chris, I know your time is limited, so take this one, my brother.
I appreciate that, Raphael. Yeah, I am running a bit short on time. Personally, I'm going to say no. And as much as I'd like to say yes, and we talk about this a lot in the rooms as well, I would say no because of the social engineering, because of Project Bluebeam, if you will, in certain ways. I think not. And also, I think there's a lot of other aspects that play into this question as well. That's why it's so difficult to talk about the phenomena with just like very pointed questions. But I will say that I don't think so because of first, because of the social engineering. That's number one. Second, because of the religious engineering. Third, because of just the nature of reality for us human beings. Okay, we don't see beyond the veil usually, unless you're an experiencer. Or unless you've accepted that you've had an experience, which is difficult. And I think almost all of us have had an experience. We just can't accept that we've had, which is okay. We'll get there eventually. We're not there yet, but we're on our way right now. I think also as well is that these beings aren't coming down as regularly physically anymore, because I believe that the government has, and for a very long time, possessed the technology to shoot them down, to intercept their crafts, to take them. So I don't think that they present as much physically anymore, nuts and bolts, if you will. They present themselves more astrally, I think, and that's what we kind of get into now more with the orbs. If we do see like a very physical nuts and bolts craft, you'll have an experience like Parsi does. Suddenly there'll be helicopters everywhere. You might get jet fighters as well that show up.
Yes, 100%.
Because they're exactly, they have the technology to shoot our star neighbors down.
Not to cut you off.
Exactly.
We're talking about,
you're right.
They show up and these helicopters don't give you more than 30 seconds to have fun with these things. So it's like,
that's right.
And that's anywhere. Doesn't matter where you are. So go ahead, Chris. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. But I think that plays into Project Bluebeam a little bit as well. Now, when Parsi had this incident that happened with the triangular craft, sorry, my electricity just flickered. Here we go.
That's what we're talking. Look what we're talking about. How convenient.
There you go.
They're watching
how convenient. Yeah, exactly. Well, see, no matter what, the truth is going to come out. So I'll say this much. And it just did it again. These triangular craft that appear, right, where I feel like is what we're dealing with these triangular craft might be more on the government side of things. And the reason why I say that is because I'm wondering if they're projecting holographic images of helicopters in a specific capacity to harass individuals. Now, I asked Parsi to download a flight tracker app because the last time that this happened, where he had the orbs come, in kind of full mass to his apartment, there were helicopters flying over his house for almost 6 hours straight. But he captured a picture of the triangular craft, and I'm wondering if there's a correlation between these triangular physical craft with the helicopter harassment. I don't know if it's like because these helicopters don't show really on radar, and there it is right there. There's the triangular craft. I'm wondering if this plays into Project Bluebeam in any way, if these helicopters aren't actually a physical manifestation, but a holographic manifestation in order to cause specific individuals who are interacting with the phenomena extreme distress and PTSD. I'd be interested to know that. As you can see, there's the helicopter right there.
I mean, I'm gonna keep it real with you 100%. It's like the same thing happens on my end, not helicopter based, but when you start getting into this word, and I know this is a trigger word for people, but gang stalking, right? Not every gang stalker is being gang stalked, but my wife was just being followed not too long ago. I am very, very skilled in knowing when people are following, and it doesn't even matter where I move. There's always military station not too far from where I'm living. It's like I move in, somebody's moving in up the block always. So these are things that actually happen, but when you speak about it, the first thing people are going to claim is paranoia, and don't even assume that they don't know that that's the first thing that people are going to think. So they play it in a way that looks to be paranoia. So yeah, Parsi, you're doing one of the best things in the world, and that's documenting on a constant basis and very thoroughly. So my brother, hats off to you. But yeah, I'm gonna pass it over.
Thanks, Rafa. I mean, it was crazy that day. So just about it was a couple of weekends ago, and I just hear helicopters. So how this helicopter thing started was when I was meditating. When I started meditating about probably last year, November or something, and when the first orbs started showing up around Orion's belt, I live very close to an airport, but I'm not on a flight path where I'm living. The flight path goes past me, so I can see planes going past me, and you never really think about it. Then first day the orbs happened. The next day I'm thinking, okay, maybe one or two helicopters going over my place. Okay. When you have about 4 or 5 or 6 going over your place, you kind of get paranoid. So I went outside, and the reason I went outside is, again, it was auditory. I was hearing blades, very smooth blades whirring, but no engine. So I go outside, and what do I see? A jet black helicopter right above my place. Army helicopter. We're in Melbourne, Australia. And I'm not paranoid. So again, pulled out my phone, took a photograph. And then it continued. Anytime I'd be out on a balcony meditating and the orbs would show up, these guys were shameless. Like there was one time, there was a helicopter coming straight at me with the headlights in my face. I have my phone pulled up, and it's all up on it.
They want you
and
to fear. That's what it is, my brother. They are shameless because they want to try to put the fear in the heart. All we can do is document and stay as strong as we're staying. So hats off to you. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm just so
no, okay.
These people are just they are relentless, man. They are relentless.
Yeah. So as soon as the light's in my face, I pull up my phone and I film it, pop it straight up on X. As soon as it's happening, the light goes off. Now, in the 2 weeks ago, the black triangle thing was really bizarre because, again, I was thinking, why are these helicopters outside my place? So I go outside, and I just randomly filmed this helicopter so close above my place. It's a 4-second video, and I started taking still shots. Now, as soon as I finished taking still shots, and Tony, put up that still shot of the helicopter, and right behind it, so it's probably above it, you can see clear as day that black triangular craft, which then I zoomed into, and I was like, holy shit, this looks like a TR-3D. But then in the video, like, I was hyperventilating. I told my wife, like, I don't know what I saw. So she put the video up on the TV, and she said, look, it's not just a black triangular craft. You can see it become white in shape and fly right behind the helicopter. And I was like, what just happened? So you can see that craft there, right, on the bottom right. And then if you zoom in, you'll be able to see the actual detail. So then, as soon as that incident happened, I was feeling really upset. I had PTSD, and then my wife's like, you know what? You're going to stay inside the house. You're not going outside. And then it was just helicopter after helicopter after 6 hours nonstop. I don't know what the hell they were doing. So yeah, you can see that right there. So that's the close up of the craft from the picture itself. Clear as day, you can see the triangular shape. But then, Tony, if you go to that picture where you see the actual craft, when it's flying past, it turns white in color.
Okay, hold on. Let me see that one.
Yeah, top right. Yeah, so that's what.
Marcy, when it's taking off, camera, man. You need to get that. We need to get that.
Yeah,
me out there.
I kind of felt ashamed. People were pushing me and saying, you know what, we'll donate. So I set up like a GoFundMe, but if it happens, it happens. I'm not going to.
And also, also with the camera, for those that are watching, I mean, come on, Parsi sees this stuff every night, and he's trying to record it on the phone. You know, people from the outside that want to see what he's seen, you know, this guy's seen it in the flesh every single freaking night, and not just the same kind of object, like different objects, helicopters flying over. So if you guys want to donate, we need to get this man a camera. Go to GoFundMe.
GoFundMe, for real.
Experiencer Equipment Support Fund. And is there like let's see, like a link for it?
Yeah, if I can hop in really quickly too and just say that Yeah, if you guys, if you want, you want the disclosure, you want the truth, we have to fund the experiencers. That's it. You know what I mean? It's a grassroots kind of thing because there's no government support, and there won't be. There hasn't been. If it has been, it's been classified, and people like Parsi have been, shoved into boxes somewhere, and which is another aspect of this that's absolutely disgusting and horrible.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have to make sure that we have documented evidence of these things because that's extremely important for the general public's disclosure. For them, that's kind of more of what disclosure looks like for a lot of individuals. I think it is extremely important also to have this evidence as well for when the curtain falls down. Somebody's going to be held accountable for this. Someone's going to have to, answer for the fact that Parsi was harassed for 6 hours by helicopters because that causes him physical and mental distress. So we have to support the experiencer. We have to help them so they can document their evidence, guys. So please go support Parsi's GoFundMe. It's extremely important.
Yes.
Thank you, Christian.
Yes.
I just want everybody to know that I'm so grateful for all of you guys being on here. Like, for real, like, man, it means the freaking world to me.
Tony, do you remember a few years back? This is the first time I heard about the black triangular out loud. Remember a few years back when I told you I had a dream and I wasn't yet in this community, so I didn't understand what I was seeing. But remember that I told you, okay, y'all know I astral project, but I actually saw that black triangle. And I said, "Oh, that's a UFO." I went there. They had it in this, like in a facility type thing, and I thinking it's a UFO. And then I was able to go in there. Remember, I told you that a few years back.
Yeah.
Parsi was showing that, and that's the first time I heard anybody say that, like that it really like that. But it's not a UFO. You guys were saying that's probably military, right? That's what it reminded me of, but I didn't know how to describe that. That's weird.
I mean,
but I went and saw that.
It could be military, but then it could also be stuff that's been reverse engineered.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. I think that I agree. I think that that's the reverse engineered technology that either the government's bringing there to destroy the alien ships that decide to come down or that are trying to make contact. That photo right there in particular, that is a very, very common sighting. Actually, Parsi captured that, the one that you're looking at right there, Tony.
Yeah.
That I feel like is... I feel like that's the craft that interfaces with individuals on a consciousness level. I feel like that's an actual living entity. I've seen so many videos of these. They're like the donut shapes with the circle in the middle, and they flash. They're almost like a bioluminescent being.
I actually have a question about that.
So that's the TR3B. If you keep going, I'll show you the other ones as well. Keep going to the right.
That one?
Yep. So that's another orb with a face in it. Now go to the right again. And the next one is the blue Tic Tac, clear as day. So, I mean, no one's ever seen a blue Tic Tac, but I was able to film that.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to the...
I've never seen the blue Tic Tac, and the red one looks like it has a praying mantis in it upside down. It looks exactly like there's an upside down praying mantis in there.
Yeah, click on that one. So that's the video right there.
I see that.
Right? And that was like right above my head. And I was just crossing the road. I was like, what the hell is this thing?
That's beautiful, man.
So, Parsi, I have a question.
If you watch the whole thing, you see like...
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, this is all with the iPhone, so the quality is pretty crap, but it's almost on a daily basis.
Don't worry. You're going to get upgraded. But I do have a question with these orbs. So... so you're outside and say these orbs aren't there yet. do you get like a signal or some sort of sensation in your body before they even appear to you?
Yeah, yeah. Now I know. So my hands start tingling. I feel this cloudiness in my head, like I'm in a meditative state. I call it a
Okay.
brain-heart coherent state. And it's almost like my body is an antenna for these things. So I know when they're showing up. And then anytime I'm speaking about the phenomena, I can hear the helicopters go past. So already, like, there was about 4 or 5. I could be paranoid, but it's even when I had a conversation with Chris the other day,
Yeah.
first time we had a conversation, boom. So there's no reason for them to be going over my place
Yeah.
because it's not on the bike path, right? But they'll just show up. Now,
Okay.
even last night, like, I was taking a break from that, so I went out to the beach to meditate. And yeah, again, one flew over my head. It was too quick to film, but then another one presented itself right above. I was walking to my car and it just flew past. And I'm like, hey, Chris, as soon as it happened, I'm like, Chris, sent him the video. I'm like, look at this. This is crazy. Like, 2 different ones. There was like a little yellow one and then there was a big red one. And the funny thing is the red one is going past and the yellow one just flies past it. So they like playing these games.
So another question. So you see these orbs in the sky, and I'm asking because I don't know. So I'm wondering. So you see these orbs in the sky, but what about the orbs that you see, like, say, in your house? Are they the same thing? Like, what's the difference?
They're different. So there's a guy named the Orb Whisperer, Paul from Sydney. He has this ability to generate orbs through his hand. So he puts his hand up like this, and he's got these videos on YouTube. And he's able to generate spirit orbs. So spirit orbs are different than the orb craft. So these craft that are coming in, as Chris was saying, they come now as plasma craft. So these are different from the orbs that we see in the house. So I tried this one time. I tried manifesting the orb in my house, and it looks like the face of a gray alien, and it manifests then from a gray alien, manifests into an actual orb. And I'll send
Yeah.
that to you in a
What? That's crazy. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Parsley's
if-
on one, man.
Huh?
He's killing it, man. Parsley's killing it. Whatever technique that he has able to, like, he talks about the Dr. Joe Dispenza technique, the brain heart coherence, which is a huge part of the connection. But as you can
Yeah.
see, soft spoken, it's a lot about the calibration.
yeah,
And in my opinion, like, we can all get to that level of consciousness. In my opinion, he's just, in my opinion, he's masterful. He's one of the best I've seen at being able to communicate and prove through camera and footage. So he's one of the ones that we got to make sure that we lift up in the community and give a platform to, man. For real, for real.
oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, he's getting a platform for sure. But let's go back to you, Mr. Lugo.
Guys,
in
sorry
your
to
video.
interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got to hop off for space.
All right, Parsley.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll talk to
Yeah,
you
I'm gonna
guys
have to
later.
head out in a
Thank
minute
you.
as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thank you,
Love
guys. Appreciate you all.
Thank you, Christian.
Love you, brother.
Bye-bye.
So back to you, Mr. Lugo. You were able to move things with your mind. Change the stop or the lights from red to green on
Yeah.
like on site.
Yeah.
So speaking of meditation, like, is that something like you have to meditate on, or what? How do you practice that, or is it like a gift that's given?
No. It's a human ability. Everybody's able to do everything that everybody else is able to do, in my humble opinion. As far as like turning off street lights or making a red light go to green faster than usual or stuff like that, you just got to remember what we're living in, right? I'm one of those people that is solely believes that we're living in some sort of a simulation, right? Where there's
Yeah.
some of binary code at the foundation of this. And if you just know that, then you know that thought, it's kind of what's projecting what you're seeing, right? So what you're thinking is what's projecting out there energetically what you're seeing. Once you get the grasp and the concept of that, it's as simple as what they say in the Bible, right? A mustard seed of faith can move a mountain or whatever the case may be. So you just see light, you look at the street light and you see it within your mind's eye as being off. You just look at it in your mind is off. Your eyes, as you're looking at it, although it's on, you only see it off in your mind. And then if you can trick the system into believing that what you're seeing is actually off instead of on, it turns off. And it's that simple. And the same thing with moving things. It's since we're all connected and everything's already in motion anyway, it's all about how to get your things that are in motion, your cells or your atoms or your particles that are in motion, to just reach out and touch whatever object you're trying to push in kind of a symphony, harmony type deal. You're not really moving the object. You're kind of just merging and blending with the idea of the particles being in motion. Once you kind of get that into your mind, like I remember seeing the movie The Men That Stare at Goats, and I always think it's funny the guy hits the wall first in the beginning of the movie, but then at the end of the movie, the Jedi actually jumps through the wall. And that's kind of how these abilities, I mean, if I'm in a car with you, it's green lights all the way, but that's only because I know that if I simulate in my mind green lights all the way or the parking being exactly where I want it to be in a clouded area, it ends up being there because we're in a system where thought rules the matrix. So just don't get caught up in the fact that you're creating it as you go. You know, we're not in something, we're creating it as well.
Okay.
I want to hear at that as well. I completely agree with what Raphael's saying. It's you know, once you realize there is no spoon, it's just you that's bending. It's the truth. It is very much the truth.
Raphael.
And I want to thank you guys again for having me. Unfortunately, I have to run. Raphael, I'd really love to catch up and speak to you as well. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Sure.
And real quick before you guys leave and we shut this down, Chris, where can they find you at on your space?
We do the usually the nightly UFO experiencer / abductee support group. CC, it's at CC Atlas Star. We do them usually late at like around 3 a.m., 2 a.m. start time for the people who are, you know, experiencing the phenomena, who need a safe place to try to jump into if they're, you know, experiencing these events on a nightly basis, things like that. So please stop by. You're not alone. I promise you. Thank you, guys.
All right, Raphael, where can we find you?
Well, you can find me on anywhere that you got social media. I mean, I'm on Twitter as The Real Schizo. I'm on, well, let me just call it what it is, X, at The Real Schizo. I'm on Facebook. Pretty much find me anywhere. I'll send you links and all that, but definitely go check out my documentary, Calling All Hybrids, on Amazon Prime right now. And real quick, before we hop off, I know you guys had a question about my lab. I wanted to give you the opportunity to ask that question if you want to real quick.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do 1 or 2 questions on the way out. I don't need to run out for another 15.
Nah, for sure. Okay, so we were getting questions together for my lab, but we could not find anything specifically to ask questions for it or about it. And that's why whenever you call me, I asked you about it because I know, you know, you're pretty up on game about it.
Well, just to elaborate a little bit on what I know about the MyLab situation, the reason why I believe that I've been involved in something of a military abduction is what MyLab stands for, a military abduction. Is I remember having surgery, right? I had a reason why I had to go under in surgery. And I just remember coming out of that feeling of like anesthesia. The minute you wake up from surgery, there was something about the lower part of my spine that I couldn't grasp.
I'm
And
still here, by the way.
I know, yeah, it's all good. And when I had this abduction that's happened to me, I noticed that it was different than any other situation I've ever been in as far as an abduction goes. Like, I've never felt anything as far as medicine in any of my abductions, or let's just say any of my experiences, because I don't like to use the word abduction. But on that specific experience I had, I can tell the difference in coming out of my, you know, missing time situation, that it had to do with some sort of medicine. I was given medicine in that. So I was given some sort of anesthesia, some sort of something that put me to sleep for sure, because I had the same feeling I had when I woke up from surgeries that day. So that's the only thing that I can say that, you know, was different, is in that specific event that I had, I was able to tell that it was military because of it. Plus, not to mention that there was helicopters and military personnel involved and stuff like that. So that's another reason why I knew it was a military abduction.
And
So do you know why they do them? Because you have the experience. Do they do them to try to make you forget about the experience? I'm wondering, do they just do that randomly to people and simulate like they have an experience to come out and say that they do when they really didn't? Like, I don't even know if I have trust in that.
No, I got you. I think No, I got you. I think there's multiple factions of it, right? I think there might be a program out there where they simulate alien abductions and they make people believe that they're actually being taken for whatever reason. And I think that there's other situations which I think I was involved in that was military, where I physically saw a craft and I had this connection mentally with this craft. And I think whatever government situation was around at the time was happening in broad daylight to me, I think they might have thought that that craft downloaded some sort of information to me, like gave me some sort of knowledge that they didn't have. I think that later on that night, I was taken by some sort of military personnel to another location to extract information that might have been given to me by this craft.
yeah,
Now, I can't say that that's really happened, but in my heart of heart, if I was the government, and I'm not thinking even maliciously, let's just say I'm the government, there's this craft that comes out of nowhere and has interaction with a civilian. You don't know if that civilian now has, you know, the knowledge to come up with nuclear bomb, or the knowledge to come up with a black hole that can destroy the universe. Like, you just don't know what this craft was giving me information wise. Say that government installation has the ability to extract you out of your home, and they have some sort of, you know, medicine, like I was given to be put to sleep from my surgery, similar to that, to where might be something like a truth serum. And they sat me in a chair, and what did that spaceship tell you? And I told them everything I knew. They erased the information from my brain through some sort of hypnosis thing that
for sure
affected throughout the years. And then I wake up in my bathroom 3-4 hours later. I'm not going to hate the government for doing it, but it's a possibility that that could have been done in that situation.
So I have a question. So whenever you were taken away the first time and you had your encounter where you met your hybrid daughter, what if they manipulated your DNA? So whenever you came back, you know, my labs, they're coming to get you because they know that this happened, and they're taking DNA samples or maybe semen samples to, whatever their agenda is, to just to work off of your experience for their benefits.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case as well. I know that the beings that, you know, are involved in the hybridization program, as far as I was involved with them,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're working with government installation. I know in the experiences I've had, I've seen people walking in the distance, but I couldn't tell you if those were humans. I can they could be just bipedal, other from
Yeah.
different star systems. They just look like humans.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
I can't really verify, you know, if that was the case. But if I look at it, I know my mom was taken. I know that there's other people in my family that have been taken. And I think that if I have some sort of bloodline or DNA interest, that the government would have me on some sort of list. I mean, they'll be dumb not to have me on the list if I'm being contacted by otherworldly beings on at random, especially
Yeah.
if you study these beings. So I think it's one of those situations where I wouldn't be surprised if, when I get into these certain situations, there is some sort of scientific governmental aspect to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember things when I was a child where it was weird for me. Like, I would be taken out of nowhere into a library and be shown how to do other things that kids wasn't doing, reading
Yeah.
subjects that I wouldn't be surprised if this is like, since a long time ago, these people have been in my life, you know?
Yeah. And what's crazy is that whenever Christian did his interview with us, with his experience, I don't want to go too much into detail about it, but you remember whenever you told us that you saw this like, it was like kind of see-through with like all this glow, or like, I don't know what it was, like gold or something like that, translucent, and he literally saw the same thing. And then he was telling me, I was like, what? I was like,
I haven't heard
man,
nobody talk about that, so that's what's up.
yeah. He told me, and I was like, dude, I was like, we interviewed my boy Skids. I was like, and he said the same thing. The only difference was the color of the inside. It wasn't like gold or whatever you guys said. It was what do you say? I forgot what color it was, but it was crazy. But I also dealt with with the woman, doing whatever she did, to him. And in my mind, it's probably for, hybridization, a hybrid child.
Yeah, hybridization program. Yeah, because that's when I seen that being.
Yeah.
And he's having other situations that have to do with hybrid type situations.
Yeah.
I'm surprised if it's a similar program. I mean, listen, we've all been through something weird, right? We've all seen something or been through something. We're just people that kind of just remember a little bit more. That's pretty much the way I look at it. I wouldn't be surprised if you've been involved in something that you just don't remember a little bit more, you know?
Yeah. Man, that's so crazy.
Yeah, man. So
I need to try to get into meditation because I need to get into meditation because now that I've been in this community and I'm more and understanding more about what's happening. It's always something. Like this morning, I was telling Tony, I was in 1912. I don't know why it was 1912, and it's like I get there, and then when I see something and I want to go through it, it's something happens and it pulls me back. So I was in 1912 today, this morning, last night, whatever. I was in 1912, and I was in an old house that was abandoned, right? And I wasn't speaking, I was telepathically communicating with who, but I said that there was children in the other room, but this is an abandoned house, 1912. And for the love of goodness, this cat, the kitchen in this house, I keep putting, and the cat keeps coming back. And it was such a, like a cool black cat. Wasn't mean, wasn't aggressive, nothing. And I hear the water turning on, and I was like, oh, there's water here. How is that possible? This is an abandoned house built in 1912. I'm in 1912. So I was like, okay, no problem. The water works. Let me see if the electricity works. So somehow I go from one scene to another where I'm outside and trying to figure everything out. And I see two of, I don't know, can't call them people. They were their attention was caught looking up, and I'm really looking at, because the sky was like, it wasn't blue sky. It was just like a brown, dusty type of vibe, right? So I'm like, okay, let me just go by them, and somehow I just kind of just glided in over to the backside, walk, and I was telling Tony, like, I can never get finished, follow through, because something's always pulling me back, and I don't know what it is. But when I was looking, they kind of was like this, and there's another tree that kind of was like this, so they were intertwined, and I could see what they're looking at. But if you move it a certain angle, now I can see through something, and I see it. And I'm like, oh, purples, blues, pinks. It was so beautiful, and I want to see what's there, and I want to get there. But that black cat keeps bugging. That black cat is bugging, and it keeps catching my attention. So then I was like, I just stayed bugged all day long, because it's like I need to figure out what was on the other side. But the black cat in 1912 numbers just keep bugging all day.
How did you know it was
trying to research cats?
Like, how did you know it was 1912? Did you see a calendar, or was it just like a knowing?
It was just knowing. It's 19. It was knowing.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I said, oh, I told him, I said, 1912. It's 1912, And so I was just trying to figure out where those colors come from. And it's not like you can see it from here. There's a certain way you have to look at it. It's not like visible. Like they were using something to look through it. So the branches made like the shapes of like a hexagon. So like almost like a kaleidoscope, without when you step a certain way and look through it, you can actually see what was up there in the sky. So I never got to it, but I did realize that the black cat, depending on what you believe in, can symbolize, not necessarily like.
This happened recently, right?
Yeah.
So it hasn't been like a reoccurrent. It hasn't been like a reoccurrent thing yet, right?
Mm-mm.
No. See.
No, not yet.
You have this. See if you have this again, and then just try to get further every time you have it. I haven't had a reoccurring I don't want to call it a dream, but let's just call it it sounds like you have. I don't want to call it a vision either. I don't know what to call it. So it was a dream, like you was asleep, because you're cutting off when you're talking a lot. It's like it gets choppy. So I'm not sure if it's a dream.
Oh. Yeah, I was sleeping.
Okay, so you have like
I was sleeping.
in the dream, like you knew you was dreaming, right? So it was a lucid dream.
Yes.
All right. So if it's a lucid dream, then you're able to induce the same situations. I honestly think what you should do is 2 hours before you go to sleep tonight, keep thinking of that scenario. Think about it internally. And as far as meditation goes, meditation only means slowing down your thoughts. Like you're never going to be able to empty your mind. So when people go empty your mind, it's never going to happen. What's really going to happen is you're going to be quiet and then your bills are going to pop up. What you have to do tomorrow is going to pop up. Meditation is knowing that's going to happen, but the minute it does, you go back to your breath. So it's going to happen, but just take it and put it on top of a river and push it down the river. Oh, there goes my bills, bye bills. And then just 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe. And as you're breathing and you're focusing on your breath, another thought comes. Just push it down the river and keep on thinking on the breathing. What's going to end up happening is you're going to slow down and get to a vibration called theta. Is what you really want to do is get to that lower theta vibration as far as your brain waves, and that's when you start getting into the form where you can start programming your mind and start remembering that dream. What's going to end up happening is you're going to fall back into that dream, and you're going to be able to say, hey, whatever was in the way, that cat or whatever was in the way that was stopping you from seeing the full vision, tonight, I want to see beyond these trees. I want to see beyond what's in this kaleidoscope. If you use that approach, I'm pretty sure you'll go lucid again and you'll be able to see what it's trying to show you. Because there's something in that lucid dream that needs to be seen, but it's being covered. So you have to figure that out.
But even you know, you're saying you're seeing a black cat.
So
The Egyptian goddess Sekhmet, she's the goddess of war, but she's also the goddess of healing.
Yeah.
So maybe that you know, there's something that ties into that too, with maybe you're fighting with something, but also healing.
Shit, on that note, my people, I
don't know, but I know I was buying the house in my dream.
Okay. Well, I got a jet. It's starting to get close to when I got to cook for these kiddos. Honor and a pleasure being here. I had so much fun, man, for real.
Hey, thank you so much, Skits, for coming on, man. Like it means the world. Our first roundtable conversation, it freaking went, man. It went off, bro. It was freaking lit. Thank you so much.
Let's do it again for real. Let's try to get 8 people on, 10 people on.
Matter of fact, I was gonna tell you, if you want to do like a little mini series, you're more than welcome to be a part of it, because we're trying to grow.
Man, listen, I'm a part of the Melted Broadcast family, bro. I love being on here since day one. You know, it's dope to be a part of the family. So whenever you need me, I'm in the building, bro. Just let me know. I'm here, bro.
All right,
This was so much fun. I wish I didn't have to go because I'm happy my system worked the way it was supposed to work.
And it looks clean too.
I appreciate you. But yeah, man, I got a jet, man. So
all right, brother. Hey, much love, man.
I will see you on X, y'all. Peace.
All right, for sure. All right, bye.
People say that I'm one of the greats, I'm the one that you love to hate. Shake 'em up like a quake, pop your feelings and turn and dispose them like haters I throw away. I'm forever blessed, got the spirit that's wholly controlling me, I ain't gotta coordinate. I just sit back and buckle my bills and I'm ready to blaze in the stars of my destination. Melted broadcast, open vision. Melted broadcast, open vision. Melted broadcast, open vision. Melted broadcast, open